Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have a brand new Haolonggood figure to take a look at. Yes, you can see we have the Apatosaurus, and I only have one variant of it here currently. I actually have both coming, but this one had shown up first, and since I'm really excited about it and I don't want to wait until the other one arrives, I just decided to review this one, and then I'll review the other paint variant in a separate video. But you can see as far as the box art goes, we've got the Apatosaurus species name right there. You can see scale is 1/35. You can also see the skeletal reconstruction of the dinosaur as well as the Haolonggood logo down here. And if we continue to turn the box, you can see some information here on the bottom. And then on the opposing side, we have the same thing pretty much, but just the different coloration of the skeleton. Similar, at least, you know, it's a little different as far as the way it's worded and everything. And then if we very carefully turn this around, because it's a little bit of a large box, there we go, you can now see a really cool shot on the opposing side of a ton of different figures that Haolonggood has out. This might be the first time that I've actually seen a box big enough from Haolonggood that it contains every figure that they've released, or at least it looks that way to me. Definitely looks like they're all here. So let's pop the box open and check out our Apatosaurus. And here is our Apatosaurus. We can very clearly see that we have the gray variant here. I actually wasn't even sure which one was inside when I had taken a look at the box, because it kind of had the skeleton of both versions on the outside of the box. I don't know if the other box is going to be different at all. Maybe the skeleton that has the actual species name a little bit larger might be the, one that kind of tells you what is contained within the box. I'm not too sure, but this thing is absolutely incredible in person. Definitely a jaw dropper, that is for sure. Straight away, one thing I can tell you is it's way heavier than I was expecting. I'm not sure why I assumed it would be hollow, similar to previous sauropods we've had, similar to like the Nanmu Apatosaurus. It was a hollow figure. This one does not seem to be hollow. It seems very solid, very heavy, very high quality. And then you can also see something that we don't often get from Haolonggood, and that's kind of a less flashy paint scheme for this one. Now, the alternate color variant does have a bit of a flashier color scheme. This one has more of almost like your classic sauropod coloration that you would expect to see, with just kind of like, a little bit less patterning and stuff like that. It's just basically darker tones of color. Not even that dark, because some of them, it's almost like a bluish gray here in person. I actually thought it was more of a darker gray from a lot of the images I had seen online, but here in person it definitely has a lighter shade of a gray, and it's kind of like, again, like a bluish gray to the figure than I was expecting it. But really beautiful, honestly. This thing is absolutely incredible here at first glance. So let's jump to a closer look at it right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt, you can straight away see the head sculpt looks really nice. On top of having a nice, general appearance to it, it also has some nice fine detail, as we have all kinds of really beautiful skin texture here. Some nice kind of creasing and everything there in the eye socket area. The mouth is sculpted out as well, and that looks really good. You can see the nostrils. The eye is also sculpted nicely, and it's also painted nicely. Very nice, precise paintwork for the eye. And you can see some variation of color here in the face. I actually, from a lot of the images I had seen, I thought it was just going to be basically like that grayish tone, and that was it, just one tone. But you can see that we start out with kind of a lighter tone here. Again, similar to more of like a blue than a gray. And then as we move up here to the top of the head, the color does change and transition to a slightly darker tone. As we begin to move down the course of the neck, you can see some nice creasing and stuff as you move down. Some nice skin detail here, as you can see all kinds of movement in the neck and the skin of the neck. And you can also see kind of like a little bit of a, almost like ridges here hanging along the underside of the throat, a little hanging skin right there. But you can see a slight kind of ridge line here running along the back of the dinosaur as well, running along the spinal column here, moving down the course of the neck. And the paintwork on this does look really nice. I actually thought that this one would be my least favorite of the two when I had initially seen it, but I actually am kind of a big fan of these bluish tones that it has here. It's like a very cool bluish gray. Really nice and very smooth transition from that tone of color to the lighter tone here of the underside. And we have on top of kind of like a light tan, you sort of have almost like some pinkish highlights here and there, which I'm picking up on, which is really cool. As you continue to move down the course of the neck, you obviously see the neck increase in size. You have a lot more skin wrinkling and skin detail here. As you get closer to the body, You can see the seam where the neck is connected. I don't think it's very obvious or anything though, especially because it kind of fits right there in with all of the wrinkling and creasing of the skin here of the neck. You also see those ridges here kind of running along the back, picking up in size a little bit. They definitely get a little larger as you reach into the body. And as you move down here into the body, we get to the most massive area of this sauropod. You can see again, it is really, really nice looking. Like, the actual fine detail on this is incredible. You could just see so much to it. And on top of that, there's a nice light wash that's been applied. I can really see that here. And that's one thing I was wondering when I had seen a lot of the promotional images. I was expecting some form of a wash because they've been doing that a lot with their figures lately, and I couldn't really pick up on it in any of the images or anything that I had seen, but I'm definitely seeing it here in person, which helps to add a little, depth to the paint job, a little extra realism. You can see the shoulder blade here as you move down into the front leg. Lots of really nice skin creasing here right behind the leg. As you move down here into the leg, you can see more skin wrinkling and stuff. You can see the joint there of the elbow itself, and then a really nice looking foot sculpt here as you move down. And you can see the same for the opposing side. You've got the nail there sticking out, which we couldn't really see over here. You can see it there, but it kind of hides, and since the dinosaur is so long, I can't turn it enough to really get a good front shot there of it to show you guys. But as you move back up here, you can see the coloration again transition from those really cool kind of bluish tones down into this lighter tone here for the underside of the dinosaur, kind of transitioning here in the stomach region. Really smooth transition. Lots of, again, skin wrinkles, skin folds and stuff. Even as you move back here, you can see how the skin is stretching off of the stomach with the leg here trailing. And then you continue to see those wrinkles as you move up into the hip bone. The scale detail really pops on this. As you look nice and close, you can see the scale detail looks fantastic. And then as you begin to move down the course of the thigh, you can see some muscle definition. Again, skin wrinkles galore. You've got the kneecap there in the front of the leg. Nice wrinkling and creasing in the back of the knee as well as the calf muscle. And then you can see the toes leaving the ground here as the Apatosaurus is taking a step as it's moving along. The nails are painted very nicely with a light tone, and the toes themselves as well as the ankle are all really nicely sculpted. Very nicely and very highly detailed. And again, a nice smooth transition to that lighter tone here as you move back into the back of the leg. Then as you move up here into the tail, you can again see lots of skin wrinkles, lots of skin folds as you move out here into the tail, and you start to see those kind of ridges moving along the back taper off, and they kind of disappear here as you move out into the tail. And of course, being an Apatosaurus, we have an exceptionally long tail, and as you lead out toward the tip, you can see it curves and has that whip-like appearance to it. It also transitions to a really cool lighter tone. We have like an orangish tone out there just for a little bit of flashiness there on the tip of the tail of our Apatosaurus. And then as you move here along the underside, you again see the detail is amazing, the paintwork is amazing. You can actually see quite a bit of variation of color here as you look on the underside. There's definitely quite a bit of coloration going on here as we have lighter tones, almost like khakis, and some very, very light tones, even lighter than like a khaki. You can also see like some orangish browns and almost like some hints of like pinkish tones. So there's definitely a lot of color added to this. Lots of skin wrinkling there as you move into the chest region of the Apatosaurus. And then as we take a look at the opposing side, you can see the head sculpt again looks really nice. The eyes are also again painted very nicely. The dinosaur has its head facing and neck facing away from us, so it does have a nice left leaning turn to the head and neck region. And you can again see the same style of detail and sculpt as you move down the course of the neck. There's not really going to be a whole lot of difference that you're going to see over here compared to what we had seen on the initial side. Same deal here as we move back into the stomach region, but you can see the legs are kind of held closer together here as the dinosaur is walking along. And of course, the movement is shown nicely here in the stomach region as you can see the skin bunching up with the thigh kind of pushing into it, and you can see the skin wrinkling here as the front leg is kind of trailing here, wrinkling that skin up. And again, the really nice looking foot sculpt as you move down. You can now see the nail on the opposing foot there for the front leg. This leg here is completely planted. You can see the foot is definitely flat on the ground. The nails are very nicely sculpted again and nicely painted. You can see a nice kind of satin finish for the nails, which is also nice. And then as you move up, you've got more skin wrinkles. You can definitely see the seam here for the tail as you move out, but again, with there just being so much creasing and wrinkling, it's really not distracting at all. And then as you move out here, you again have that nice whip-like tail. So absolutely one of the best Apatosaurus figures I've ever seen, and easily one of Haolonggood's best figures yet. As far as a size goes, definitely a big one. Easily the biggest Haolonggood figure that I've ever seen. For a length, you are looking at about 21.5 inches or around 54.5 centimeters. And then for a height, the highest point is definitely the back of the neck here. You are looking at about the, I would say, closing in on, but not quite at 6.25 inches or around just shy of 16 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our Haolonggood Apatosaurus. And you can see it definitely has a very large, very impressive size to it, easily dwarfing every figure that we have here next to it. And here we have a nice Haolonggood comparison with quite a few of their recent releases next to the Apatosaurus. And again, as I was saying when I said that this is the biggest one that we've had so far, you can very clearly see that. The only thing I think that could compare, and it wouldn't really beat it even remotely, would be the Spinosaurus, which I'm not going to bring in just because I have it kind of buried right now. But trust me, the Spinosaurus is definitely smaller than this very, very much so massive Apatosaurus. Here we have a comparison next to the Papo Amargasaurus here, showing you that obviously the Amargasaurus is way smaller. We also have the only other sauropod in the Haolonggood line so far, as we have the Dicraeosaurus here next to the Apatosaurus. And honestly, even though I love the Dicraeosaurus, I absolutely think the Apatosaurus is the better of the two sauropods. Then we've got a comparison with the Nanmu Apatosaurus, and you can definitely see the Nanmu Apatosaurus is a bit larger. It's definitely bulkier, definitely, like you could see the back is up higher and everything. They're not too far off, I would say, but definitely a little smaller when it comes to the Haolonggood version, but man, do they look incredibly cool next to each other. They would definitely make some amazing companion pieces when displaying or taking dinosaur toy photography. We also have the absolutely amazing Guilherme Belinsky art Zeus the Brontosaurus here next to the Haolonggood Apatosaurus, and these two are very, very similar in size, like extremely, extremely close in size. I think Zeus is just a little bit longer, but overall, if you do happen to have Zeus, you'll absolutely have a very good idea of the size of this Apatosaurus. I did have a request from someone to use this one here for a comparison as well, as this is that random Diplodocus figure I had purchased on AliExpress quite a ways back here next to the Apatosaurus. So if you did happen to have that figure, if you did happen to purchase it, you'll very clearly see they're similar in length, but body mass will definitely go to the Haolonggood Apatosaurus. We've also got the old school Safari Ltd Carnegie Collection Apatosaurus here for a comparison next to the Haolonggood version. Yet again, the Haolonggood version is definitely a bit larger. We've also got the old school Bullyland Apatosaurus here next to the Haolonggood version, if you happen to have that figure. And then the final figure we have for a comparison is the Safari Ltd Brachiosaurus here, the more recent version. This one's a little beat up. I do have a few of these guys. I think I was going to use this one for a repaint or something. So he was sitting out, and I felt like he was a good one to bring in for a comparison, because he's definitely a very popular sauropod in many people's collections. So this brand new Haolonggood 1/35th scale Apatosaurus is definitely another gorgeous release from them. Really a big fan of the fact that they have finally released a really cool, very large sauropod. We have had the Dicraeosaurus in the past, which, again, we had seen a comparison with. That's a very cool figure as well, but I love the fact that we have a large sauropod now from Haolonggood, and it's absolutely one of the best Apatosaurus figures that are out that you will see anywhere. It really is quite the marvel, honestly, to look at. The sculpt is phenomenal, lots of incredible detail, as we all know and love when it comes to a Haolonggood release. They usually give you an extremely highly detailed sculpt, and the same can definitely be said for this Apatosaurus. It is as highly detailed detailed as it could probably get. On top of that, we also have a really nice pose for the Apatosaurus, just kind of walking along nice and natural. You know, you can't really expect too much as far as a large sauropod like this. I can't see it doing too many different, you know, movements or poses or anything that it's going to still look natural. Definitely a nice walking pose is how I like my sauropods, and they've done that very nicely here with this Apatosaurus. On top of that, I really like the colors of this one, more than I thought I was going to, honestly. I felt like I was absolutely going to be partial to the other color scheme, which I may still be when I get it here in my hands and review it for you guys, but I still think that this one here looks great. The tones of color are a nice surprise for me because, again, I actually thought they were more of like a dark gray, but having them here, they're like a bluish gray, and it's like a lighter bluish gray. It's a really nice color and definitely looks nice and natural, and I absolutely do not have any sauropods in my collection that have that kind of coloration on them, that sort of like light bluish gray tone. On top of that, I do like the coloration that we have out on the tail, just adding a little element of flashiness, even though it almost doesn't really fit in with the rest of the paint job for the figure. I still do like that. I think it looks really cool, and again, just adds that nice bit of flashiness out there on the end of the tail. And the paint application is very smooth, very nice and naturally applied. They've also applied some nice lighter washes and stuff to it, which help to make the detail pop and add a little extra realism. And of course, the fact that it is quite large is also really cool. I love nice big sauropod models, and that is definitely what you get when you grab yourself this amazing Apatosaurus. So if you are interested in purchasing one of these, I will include a link in the description to where you can do that on Lana Time Shop, where I purchased mine. So make sure you check that link, go grab yourself this amazing Apatosaurus, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.